Hey everybody. So this week we are going to be focusing on shape. And for this first challenge, in particular, we are going to be focusing on positive and negative shapes. So a positive shape is the main thing in an artwork, right? For example, I am the positive shape in this video that you're looking at right now. I'm in the foreground. I'm the main thing. The negative shape would be the painting these lines in the background. Okay? So a positive shape is the main thing. Negative shape is the empty space. Now, an empty space could also be something like this. If I were to put my hands like this, there is now an opening, an empty space between my fingers and my head right there. So a negative shape, positive shape could be large, could be small, could be simple, could be detailed. For the first experiment that we're going to do, we are going to use figures. And the figure could be an animal, it could be a person, it could be an action figure, it could be a doll. That's entirely up to you for this challenge. So I'm going to share a couple options, a couple creative approaches that you can take with this challenge. And look at the video, check them out, try out one of them or more. And after you do that, make sure you share your work either to Seesaw or Google Classroom. So stay tuned, check it out. All right, so this first experiment is inspired by a project that's been done recently by my friend Minnie Matisse and another artist in another country, Tall Short Artists. And what we're going to do is we are going to create a character, and that will be the positive space, but then we're going to cut out their clothes and turn that into negative space, and then we're going to use background images in your room or in your home or outside and turn that into the positive shape of the clothes. So I know that's confusing. So we're going to start with a white piece of paper, and then you are going to fold it in half. So you have a line of symmetry down the middle. Then you are going to draw a character. You are going to draw half a character. It could be a boy or a girl. It could be an animal. And it doesn't have to look real. I mean, it could be a little funky. You know, Lego minifigures are blocky. You know, Duplo figures are blocky. Stuffed animal figures are, soft and squishy and sometimes big. But you just want to draw half of your character. After you draw the character, half the character, then what you're going to do is cut out the clothes that you want to redesign. So when you do this, basically what you're doing is you're turning the positive shape of the figured clothes into a negative shape because it's an opening. So here you can see I cut out the girl's dress. After you make your cuts, then go ahead and open it up so you could see. And immediately you could see how now my dude looks like he's wearing a dark brown jumper outfit. Very stylish right off the bat. And look at that, my girl has a matching outfit. But you're going to notice that they are missing the other side of their face, leg, and arms. So then you want to go ahead and do your best, but you want to match what you've done on the other side in pencil. So I added the other side of the face. I added a little detail to his face there, hand. Same thing with the girl. Added the rest of her hair, her arm, her leg, and her shoe, and her face. All that stuff. Now at this point, you could keep things black and white. I added some skin tone and hair and shoe colors. If you wanted to decorate the background to think about the negative space, the background in there, you could. I have not, but if you wanted to put them in a particular place or on a runway, whatever you want to add to your artwork, that's totally okay. That is up to you. That's another design choice that you can make. Once you have your figure ready to go, then what you want to do is look around and find if interesting textures or patterns that you can turn into clothes for your figure. So this is part of our tablecloth, part of our kitchen chair right there. So it looks like he's wearing a funky plaid with some stripes. Ooh, I don't know if that's a good idea there, sir. Here's another one where it's almost like camo at the bottom and a silky blue shirt. Oh, that's working a little bit better. So here I don't tell her, but I took one of my wife's shirts and I laid it out. I was messing with her clothes so I could turn that shirt into a dress. Shh, don't say it too loud. So here's an example of going outside with the project. And when you do this, you might need somebody's help either to hold the paper still. I struggled because when I went outside, it was a little breezy, so the paper was blowing away, or not blowing away, but blowing around. So you may need to have a little teamwork when you do this. Here's an example of a not cropped photograph. So I went out and you could see how the paper is kind of bending a little bit. So it might have been nice if I had somebody step up in my family and offer to help me, or I could have just asked them to. The other thing that you're going to need to do with this, if you choose this experiment, is to crop the photograph after you take it. So you can go into your camera roll, hit edit, use that little crop tool, and crop it so that just the white paper shows and not the background. Because if you see it like this, then it kind of takes away some of the impact of the image. And if you do just this, that's perfectly fine too, but I encourage you to experiment with that editing and that cropping tool so that you can make your design look a little bit more real with high impact. All right, so another option for the clothes decorating or the fashion negative shape experiment is if you have magazines or comic books around your house, what you could do is you could look for a character's head. So honestly, I don't have a lot of magazines in my house anymore. So I did find this Smithsonian magazine and this box-looking character here. So I decided I wanted to cut out the head and use this head for the head of my fashion character, right? So it became a positive shape on my character. And this is something that my friend Nick Hahn at Mini Matisse did to add a different layer or another option to her students' projects too. So my wife has been making a lot of masks, so you could see I've taken a couple of those fabrics and put them underneath. So now my box head looks like it's got some cool triangles and circle targets for the outfit. So this is another option if you choose to do it. And again, if you choose this option, make sure that you crop your photograph as well, like I did not do. Okay, so the another experiment that you could do is inspired by a Spanish artist who goes by the name Pajak. And with this one, you are going to create a positive shape. You're going to create a character that then you could take over to a window where you're inside looking out and creating a image, putting those two things together. So it looks like your character, your positive shape, is interacting with the real world. So you can see in these two examples, Bajak has painted all of these characters on his window. So it looks like they are floating in the sky outside, right? So this is actually inspired by another artist, a surrealist artist named Rene Magritte. So artists borrow from each other all the time, and that's okay. Just like art teachers borrow from each other or students get inspired by each other, that's okay when you do that, as long as you do something a little bit different with it too. So with this one, you can see, I'm not sure if this is painted on his window or if it's cut paper, but you could see how now it looks like there is an artist creating a painting with his easel across the street on the rooftop. Here's another one that Pajak did. So he created a character to interact with a light post or a utility pole out his window. So it looks like they're hanging on right there, drawing a heart in the sky. So this one is definitely cut paper. You can see how they are inserting that or attaching it to the window, so that when they take the photograph of it, it's not going to fall off. That's something that you need to think about. So the first thing that I would do if you're interested in this positive shape challenge is to look outside your window and think about, what could I do? What kind of figure am I going to add to this scene? How is it going to interact? What is it going to do? So when I looked out my window, I've got some telephone and cable wires. I was like, ooh, I could make it look like they are going across like a tightrope. So that's why the arms are out and it looks like they're walking, so they're balancing as they go. So that's what I drew on my paper. You could leave it just with an outline like that. You could do it on dark paper, so it looks like a silhouette. I chose to add a little value to my character, so dark gray, medium gray, light gray there. And then you can go ahead and cut that character out. So you get rid of the negative shape and you're just left with the positive shape of your character. Now, if you're not sure how to draw a character, or you feel a little uncomfortable with it, what you could do is, if you have any action figures or dolls, this is my Ahsoka action figure. Yay, Ahsoka! You can position them and then just carefully kind of trace around them. So it helps you build the movement if you want it to look like your character's moving. So here I have started a tracer, and it may not be perfect, but it gives you an idea of a figure in motion. So here is the completed tracing. And then I filled her in as well. I made her silhouette. So the positive shape is going to stand out from the background a little bit more. And then I went and cut her out. So again, I got rid of all the negative shape. So I'm left with a positive figure shape. And after you have it cut out, think about how that character is going to interact. So I went over to my kitchen window and I decided I wanted this balancing figure to look like it's walking on the fence, like tiptoeing, balancing across my fence right there. So I placed it, and once I do that, then you have to position your camera correctly so it's going to complete that illusion. After you take the photograph or a series of photographs, choose one of them, and then again, I would use that editing tool that go to edit and crop it so you get rid of any extra stuff. I had some Amazon boxes that were left out in the rain. Looks kind of junky right there, so I decided I wanted to clean up my photograph and cut it out and just focus on the character, the positive shape, and the setting. Here's another version of that same character doing a tightrope walk across one of the wires that I saw outside my living room window. So as far as camera angles go, so this is an example of I taped my Ahsoka character to the window and I didn't line up the shot properly. So she looks small in the bushes there, so it doesn't work. So I needed to move my camera to make sure I lined up the figure and the background a little bit. So with this one, you can see now it looks like she is leaping off of the apartment building next to my home, and she is shooting off into the sky. That works a whole lot better. In this one, it could either be that she is leaping off the building, or it could be that she is using her hands. She is moving across the power line and her body is in action. So either way, I was not planning on this, but it kind of worked out like that. So be open to accidents, happy accidents, as Bob Ross would say. One last option, if you choose to use it. If you don't want to do any drawing and you have action figures or dolls, what you could do, all right, this is a little bit more tricky, is you can position them so you can hold them, but when you take your photograph, you're going to have to crop your hand out. Because then the illusion really doesn't work. So I have this Greedo figure. You can see I am, ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, a huge Star Wars fan. But I took my Greedo character and I was like, ooh, I can make it look like he's sitting in our backyard. So I position him in a sitting position, because he's an articulated doll, right? And I tried to hold him in the angle that I needed to take the photograph. And here it is. So I took my photograph and then I used edit and crop. So I got rid of my hand, I got rid of his leg that looked too big for the table, and I just focused on that main positive shape. So if you want to use an actual 3D shape for this, you can do that too. So 4 different ways that you can experiment with negative or positive shapes in your artwork. And there you have it. So 4 different, I think 4 different positive and negative shape experiments that you could try. Go ahead, try one of them, 2 of them, all of them, and when you're done and you save your work, please make sure you share it to either Seesaw or Google Classroom. Make sure you add it correctly, or you can also share it with me at Shine Bright Zamorano. So good luck and have fun.